Who are the teams? We work closely enough together that I think you and I are in agreement on the teams that we would point to. There's a handful of teams that had what I would call COVID distraction.
Yeah.
Training camp and preseason.
Right.
Who are the teams that you would put in that bucket? From the standpoint not of an outbreak, from the standpoint of consternation among players and coaching staff / organization about the whole vaccine issue. Who are the teams that you would put in that bucket?
Well, let's see. Right off the bat, I get to Buffalo, the Colts, Washington. You know, that was the three. When you started to say it, I went right there.
You're missing he loves him not.
And of course, Kirk Cousins. Yes, of course. Right.
Okay.
They lead. They're in the leader house, as we would say.
Right. And guess what? Those four teams in the leader house did week one.
Yeah.
Lost. And I raise that not because it means they're going to keep losing, but when you're talking about 28 teams that don't have that issue, 4 teams that do, and when teams that have had this inherent drama, dysfunction, tension, they start playing teams that don't have that issue, how's it not a factor at some level? How's it not a factor? How's it not a factor if some of those players in the Washington locker room are still pissed off that they've been called out multiple times and made to feel small and made to feel irresponsible, made to feel stupid by their head coach? Because that's what's playing out in society. The people who aren't vaccinated and don't want to be vaccinated get mad when people say you should get vaccinated. And they feel like the people who say you should get vaccinated are being strident and condescending and arrogant and belittling.
I hear you.
And you've got that playing out in these little microcosms all across the country that are football teams. So that's a factor that we've forgotten about because, hey, the stadiums are open and football is back and everyone's here. And let's not talk about vaccinations. We're sick of talking about it. But you know what? To the extent it's dragging some teams down, to the extent it's keeping them from being as good as they can be, now you're never going to see the breadcrumb trail from the 50-yard line to the locker room to the team facility that proves it. But Washington lost, Buffalo lost, Indy lost, Minnesota lost. And all 4, well, 3 of them were favored, and the Colts were playing at home against a Seahawks team that got dragged halfway across the country.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to, disagree a lot there. I mean, you're right. It's a distraction. I do think that a locker room's better than what society is right now. They're not, at least going to the locker room going, man, Ron Rivera, what an idiot. I mean, because that's what's going on in society. We have people that are like, Fauci's an idiot. Okay, great. I mean, they're not doing that. But to your point, I do think, there's probably a lot of conversations about it going on in the locker room. And guys huddling up, hey, here's the defensive line, and they're talking about that maybe instead of, talking about football and what they got to do. So I'm not going to disagree with you there about the distraction of that. Certainly not. I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight into that's why they lost the football game.
You can never prove it.
No, I know you can't. I know you can't prove it. You're right. I can't. So I don't know. That's why I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it. But I do think, yes, distraction, through training camp and that, yes, to a degree. Does that lead you to be maybe not your total 100% week one? I agree with you, Mike. Probably not. I'm not gonna fight back against you there. But
you may have some of those guys that start looking at Ron Rivera differently.
Maybe.
You may have, and Ron Rivera did the right thing. I'm not criticizing Ron Rivera.
Yeah, of course you're not.
And it's still stunning to me that guys who have been wired from the first moment they put on a football helmet to defer and accept and follow every order they get from their coach, pushed back in situations like this. That just tells me how strong the feelings are. That's the point. I'm for the 28 teams where it's a non-issue, it's a non-issue. But for the 4 teams where we know it's an issue, good luck ironing that out. I think the coaching staffs are still beside themselves that they can't get these guys to do what they're supposed to do. And on top of all of that, it's a looming threat to key players being unavailable.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, I'm with you. I hear you. I do. Teams are not going to give us much there. They're not going to say anything. That's just not in the DNA of football teams, first off. They're just going to keep, we're going forward. Yes, if you get maybe Ron Rivera in a private conversation with somebody he knows, he's probably going to tell the truth and say, yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. Every day we got a handful of guys who might be a little late to meetings because they're still getting tested or, other crap like that. So, yeah, I hear you there. But you're right. I can't really quantify that. I don't know how much of a factor that's really playing in. But I do think it's a factor.
It's something that is always there. You got enough crap to worry about when you're trying to coach a football team. It's always something that's there. Let's assume, and again, I don't know if Chase Young is or isn't vaccinated. Montez Sweat, we know, is not, because he's made it clear he wasn't getting vaccinated. What if they're at practice and Ron Rivera, who played defense during his NFL career, he was a linebacker, not a defensive end, but he knows how he played on a team with some pretty good defensive ends. What if he's got some coaching point he wants to make to Montez Sweat, and he's got to think, how close do I want to get to this guy? That's a bag you don't need to be carrying around when you're trying to coach a football team.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that. Little bricks, tiny little bricks that can just build and build and build and build and build. And again, we're only talking about 4 teams that have this issue. 28 teams don't. When you're talking about how intense, you've lived it. It's intense. It's all consuming. Everyone's pressed together. You got enough crap to worry about than this one extra thing. And this is all just kind of, we haven't reflected on it at all through week 1.
No, I didn't,
there wasn't,
certainly.
other than last Thursday night's game when Zach Martin wasn't available to play because he tested positive despite being vaccinated, it hasn't been a major issue so far this year. And maybe it will never be a major issue. But you know what, Chris? When the season ends and people start doing deeper dive reporting on what went wrong where,
right. We'll hear that.
Somebody's going to report, whether it's people on the record or off the record, that the tone was set by this unexpected fight, this unnecessary fight, this illogical fight that we had in August and into September, and it kept us from being as focused as we needed to be right out of the gates.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's probably how it will play out. You'll start to hear those type of rumors and things after the year's over. Yeah, whoever it is reports, that we really felt like that was a big issue that held us back at the early part of the year. You're not going to hear it now. Nobody's going to make those excuses, and nobody really wants to think about it right now because, damn, like the Washington football team, they don't want to start out 0-2. And I'm sure they look at it and go, man, we thought we were going to be a better football team than last year. Yeah, we went into the playoffs, but we should be better. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick. We got a little upgrade at quarterback as compared to the play they had last year. And they were now he's hurt. So they got their hands full in a lot of different areas. I mean, both teams do. They really do. I mean, these are teams that are kind of a work in progress. And now you got Taylor Heineke playing, who did some good things last week. Yeah, sure. But it wasn't like, oh, wow, yeah, they're definitely in good hands. Watch out. Washington's going to be, a juggernaut in the NFC. No, I'm not sold on that yet. I know there's things to like about his game, but, man, yeah, I mean, it's got to be better. You look at the way they played against the Chargers last week on the offensive side of the ball, there wasn't a whole lot of sustained drives. There was mistakes. They couldn't stay on the field on third down. So we'll see how he plays tonight. I like watching him play because he kind of plays like, his pants are on fire, and it's kind of fun to watch that way. But he is going to miss some throws, too, where I go, damn, an NFL starting quarterback wouldn't miss that throw. And we'll see. Maybe he can fix those things tonight and pick apart this Giants defense at a little higher level than he did last week against the Chargers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.